In today's headline, another round of oil price hike set. Chavit believes Rody will endorse BBM. No issue in ballot printing, Duterte. Go backs excise tax moratorium. Kyiv under siege amid humanitarian catastrophe. China dominates Winter Paralympics. Good morning, I am Kim Sancha and you're watching Tribune News on Q. Today is the 14th of March and here are the latest news on this Monday morning. An industry leader warned another round of hike of local pump prices next week as global crude oil prices remain high amid the Russia-Ukraine war. The Philippines, being a net importer of oil, has limited capacity to cope, citing monitoring of oil trading based on the mean of Platts Singapore. The source said diesel and gas prices are expected to rise next week by approximately 11 and 99 pesos and by 7 pesos 8 per liter, respectively. Based on the latest data on the Department of Energy or DOE website, the country's total import bill during the first half of 2021 reached $4.79 billion, 55.9% higher than the previous year, which is $3.7 billion. Total products import costs increased by about 9% from the first half of the 2020, which is $2.13 billion at an average cost. Insurance and freight costs of $47 and $68 per barrel to $4.28 billion at an average cost of $67 per barrel. Overall, the country net oil import bill amounting to $4.61 billion was an increase of 62.9% from last year's $2.33 billion. The DOE had already issued a tall order among oil companies to expedite this much-needed strategic petroleum reserve plan. Oil companies and bulk suppliers are strictly mandated to maintain a minimum inventory equivalent to 15 days for refined products. The minimum inventory for LPG, meanwhile, is at 7 days. Refineries, meanwhile, are required to maintain a minimum inventory of 30 days worth of crude oil and refined products. Despite the skyrocketing prices of petroleum product, for transport groups dropped their appeal for a 1-point provincial increase in minimum fare for public utility jeepneys and fears of works implicator effects. Luis Chavit Singsong, incumbent mayor of Narvacan, Ilocos Sur, and president of the League of Municipal Mayors of the Philippines, believes President Duterte will finally endorse Bongbong Marcos for president. In an exclusive interview, Singsong pointed out that based on the speech of President Duterte when he was guest of honor and speaker during the opening of the Narvacan public market in Ilocos Sur, he told the crowd that an Ilocano should be the next president who will succeed him in Malacanang. President Duterte was very clear in saying that he wanted that an Ilocano to be the next president and his successor, and BBM is the only Ilocano among the candidates, he explained. Singsong is a close political ally of the president and close friend and political advisor of Bongbong. Both are from Ilocos. As seen on television and social media, Singsong and Bongbong are always together in campaign sorties in various parts of the country. Singsong has even predicted that around 1,200 mayors will support the presidential bid of BBM to bolster the solid North support of the Marcoses. Based on the surveys, BBM has always remained the top choice of the voters despite the black propaganda and disqualification cases being thrown at him. President Rodrigo Duterte is not alarmed by claims that the Commission on Election or COMELEC has not been transparent over the ongoing printing of ballots to be used for the 9 May national and local elections. In an interview that aired over SMNI channel on Saturday, Duterte said he believes there is no issue on the matter as he vouched for the integrity of COMELEC officials whom he had appointed. The chairman now is Saidemen, who is a Maranao. I appointed him as chairman, said Duterte, referring to Saidemen Pangarungan, former secretary of the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, who was recently named as the poll body's chairperson. Kibuloy then told him that the questions on the supposed lack of transparency in the printing of ballots had surfaced prior to the appointment of Pangarungan and 2 other new commissioners, Aimee Torrepranca Neri and George Garcia. In response, Duterte said the printing of the ballots came out as news before you appointed the 3. It was Kibuloy who raised the issue to the president, citing Senator Aimee Marcos' concern that the poll body has yet to allow groups inside the National Printing Office in Quezon City and the COMELEC warehouse in Santa Rosa, Laguna to observe ballot printing. The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or NAMPREL, also called on COMELEC to guarantee transparency in the process, saying representatives of political parties and accredited groups should serve as witness to dispel doubts. The COMELEC has denied that it has turned down requests for groups to observe the printing of the ballots, but admitted that they have temporarily postponed observation due to the ongoing COVID-19 threat. NAMPREL, for its part, said that while it understands the challenges the COMELEC is facing amid the coronavirus pandemic, this should not be used as an excuse to deny accredited organization access to pertinent data. The printing of official ballots for this year's election began on the 20th of January at the National Printing Office. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Mahalin natin ang Pilipinas.
Lilipad na ang agila, magtatanggol, magmamahal sa ating bansa.
We shall fly, soar, fight, and win!
Maasa, intay, sara, sa'yo.
Ayon sa World Bank, tinatayang 4.8 hanggang 12.7 milyong toneladang plastic ang sumisira sa ating karagatan taon-taon. Halos 80% nito ang nanggagaling sa Asya. Sa buong mundo, ang Pilipinas ay itinuturing na pangatlong pinakamalaking nagdudulot ng polusyon sa karagatan. Ang nakalalasong kemikal mula sa plastic ay di lamang kumukontamina sa karagatan, ngunit pati na rin sa hanging nilalanghap at lupang ginagalawan natin. Kung magpapatuloy ang kasalukuyang paggamit ng single-use plastics, sa taong 2050, mas marami na ang plastic kumpara sa mga isda na nasa ating mga karagatan. Dahil dito, mas pinaiigting ng pamahalaan ang kampanya laban sa paggamit ng single-use plastics. Nanganganib ang ating planeta. Iisa lang ito. Lahat tayo ay dapat kumilos sa lalong madaling panahon upang pangalagaan ito. Tama na ang plastikan.
And we are back on Tribune News on Q. Senator Christopher Bongo on Sunday said he will support proposal for the temporary moratorium on the collection of excise taxes on oil products to help ordinary Filipinos cope with these impacts. Go said he will back any moves that would strengthen the country's resilience on the challenges facing the nation, such as the pandemic and the surge of oil prices on account of the ongoing Ukraine crisis. While I understand that there are possible effects on our revenue collection, especially now that we are recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, there has to be a balance in order to protect the welfare of Filipinos, especially the poor who are still trying to recover from the COVID-19 crisis, he said in his weekly column going forward. The senator said he will personally welcome initiatives, even a special session if necessary, to tackle legislative measures on how to look into solutions such as adjusting applicable taxes or even providing an extra budget for targeted support to vulnerable workers, particularly in the transportation sector. I also call on the government to fast-track the release of the subsidy allotted to jeepney drivers, many of whom are just recently returning to pre-COVID operations. He said, Go cited President Duterte order for concerned agencies to find solutions to mitigate and address the rising oil prices. A convoy of humanitarian aid headed for Mariupol had been blocked at a Russian checkpoint, but it was hoped it could reach the city Sunday, Deputy Prime Minister Irina Berushka said. The strategic port in particular is facing what Ukraine says is a humanitarian catastrophe with more than 1,500 civilians killed. Attempts to evacuate hundreds of thousands of civilians have repeatedly failed. Mariupol is still surrounded, that which they cannot have by war. The Russians want to have by hunger and despair since they cannot bring down the Ukrainian army population. They target the population. A French military source said. A top Russian officer described the situation in stark language. Unfortunately, the humanitarian situation in Ukraine is continuing to deteriorate rapidly, and in some cities, it has reached catastrophic proportions, said the head of the Russian National Defense Control Center, Mikhail Mishetsky. In his video address, Zelensky appealed for more aid. I keep reiterating to our allies and friends abroad, they have to keep doing more for our country, for Ukrainians and Ukraine, because it is not only for Ukraine, but it is for all Europe, he said. China dominates Winter Paralympics. China has emerged as a new Winter Paralympics powerhouse at its own Beijing Games, topping the medals table in a stunning success backed by huge investment and aided by the absence of Russian athletes. The hosts on Sunday stood proudly top of the standings, having won 60 medals and 18 golds, with just a handful of events still to be decided. Their rise is all the more remarkable given that only it made its Winter Paralympics debut in 2002, and it took it until Pyeongchang just 4 years ago to win a first gold in wheelchairs curling. The games have given people with impairments a lot of confidence. Gold medals cross-country skier Mao Xiongwu told AFP. China's Paralympic success story say longtime games observer is one of money, foreign coaches, the absence of Russian athletes, hard work, and perhaps home country advantage. That wraps up the stories this morning. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, the Department of Tourism, Araneta City, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, Emperor East Land Holdings Incorporated, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Kim Sancha, and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. Download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune invites you to join its Viber community, Katribu, to get updates on the hottest news on politics, business, sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. Emoticons of the Tribune mascot Tarsito are available on our community Viber.
Ang Daily Tribune may digital shows na din. Dahil sa mas lumalaki at mas lumalakas nating tribu, handog sa inyo ng Daily Tribune ang mga programang magbibigay buhay araw-araw. Be informed at mag-good vibes tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Be updated sa news and happenings sa Tribune News on Cue. Mas kilalanin pa natin ang mga paborito nyong atleta sa programang The Athletes Tribune. Alamin ang latest entertainment sa programang What's Up. Ma-inspire sa mga kwentong hatid ng Perfect. Search lang ang Daily Tribune sa inyong Facebook at Tribune Now on YouTube. See you there mga katribu!
Iba ng panahon, dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ang bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all.
Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
With Globe, our steps can lead us to millions of doors opening, millions of paths unfolding, and millions of reasons to keep going. Now's the time to be with the network that gets better every day for you.